Thank you, Mayor Strom. I just have a couple quick thoughts, but I want to thank Mr. Ginsburg for being here and staying up close to your bedtime. Extremely helpful to have you here. One quick question for staff. I just want to get this on the record. I'm pretty sure of the answer. What we're voting on tonight is authorizing the expenditure of a grant, a 9.3 million grant, plus it's actually, if you round up, 9.5 million grant, once you add in the 144,000 that comes for additional services, and potentially sort of flagging this very modest match that includes that we're satisfying with a federal grant in and of itself, CDBG dollars. And that's all we're doing. Nothing that we're voting on tonight beyond that expends local Lakewood city dollars that haven't already been committed in the last budget. And any future expenditures in Lakewood dollars would have to go through a budget process, which turns out there's multiple hearings for and multiple opportunities for comment on. That would be a separate process. I just want to confirm that we're not voting to expend any other Lakewood city dollars beyond that.
You're exactly correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Barker. You know, gosh, folks, we're all neighbors in the city, really. And I've sat here and listened very, very attentively to the comments. I get it. Folks aren't happy. I hear it. I understand. You're not happy that your housing costs are exploding and your property tax bills are going up and your cost of living are going up. I get it. You're not happy that there's 40,000 folks from another country pouring into our community, and you're scared about what it means for your family, for your safety. You're scared about what it means for our ability to budget long term. I get it. I'm anxious that the city of Denver is spending $140 million that it doesn't have. I'm anxious about that, okay? And we are up here on a dais, and I get it. We have public comment, and you're allowed to come and share your frustration and your anger with us. You can do that on any topic you want, especially during general public comment. You really can. You know, the fact that housing costs are exploding in cities across America is due to immensely complicated historic structural factors that have been going on for decades and will continue going on for decades. And have, you know, to the extent that we on this dais can affect that, it's frankly on the margins, okay? As my co-counselor pointed out, we on this dais do not have the power to pass a comprehensive immigration bill. As a citizen, not as a Lakewood councilor, as a citizen, I would very much like to see a bipartisan comprehensive immigration bill passed. I've been working on this issue in one way or another in various capacities. Our immigration system is thoroughly broken. Y'all are right that we need to get a hold of that. It's obviously not sustainable that we've got 40,000 folks that have come to the broader region and are looking for work and can't work. That's not good. There are solutions to that, but they're federal. They're not solutions that this dais and this body can pass. Now, I've listened and I've heard very carefully what folks have shared on this. But folks, you know, the topic in front of us tonight that you all just commented on is an ordinance authorizing us to spend, it's actually $9.5 million when you add up the two subparts, that our fantastic city went out and applied for to fund, okay? It is taxpayer money, but if we don't take it, it will go to other cities, not Lakewood, which means that more money will have to come from Lakewood, right? So I just heard a bunch of folks say, look out for Lakewood, right? You should represent Lakewood, and I agree with that. That is our first obligation. So to me, representing Lakewood looks like making sure that in a competitive statewide process where we have funding, that we get that $9.5 million. I want it going here in our community, not going to a bunch of other cities, right? The argument, as I understand it, for a bunch of folks that have come up, and by the way, I did listen very carefully to the comments. I also read all of the comments on Lakewood Speaks, and I was appreciative of the fact that by my count, a clear majority of the comments on Lakewood Speaks were supportive of us passing the ordinance before us tonight. And I am an enthusiastic yes vote. The argument, as I understand it, seems to be that despite the fact, as we've just heard from Mr. Ginsburg, that 95% of the folks served by this Lakewood NAV Center are from Jefferson County, that because there are 9 people out of 250 over the last 3 years that are immigrants, that we should shut all this down, send $9.5 million back to the state and say, no, you know what, this is too much. 9 immigrants served, let's shut the whole thing down. We've got a NAV Center right now. Instead of pulling down $9.5 million to build on that, let's just give it to someone else. respectfully, I've heard the comments, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I believe that we have a responsibility to be a good steward of your taxpayer dollars. Your taxpayer dollars are, you know, your money. That you're right. We shouldn't be spending your money thoughtlessly. We should be very strategic about it. Our budget is just over $300 million, but you know, we should look after every penny, which is the #1 reason that I am a yes vote. Mr. Ginsburg alluded to this. There is mountains of data that a chronically homeless individual costs taxpayers between $60,000 and $80,000 per year, cycling through jails and rehab centers and emergency rooms, right? And who does that bill go to? The taxpayer, right? So being a good steward of your dollars, being fiscally responsible, to me, looks like not spending $80,000 a year on folks who are chronically homeless. It looks like preventing that, right? I understand it's 2024 and politics in this country are tough, and there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger everywhere, and I wish it wasn't so, but it is. I don't know, I don't have the solution to it, but I know that I know that we've got to look at the data and the evidence, okay? And on this, the evidence is extremely persuasive. There have been multiple rigorous evaluations done of looking at everything that Mr. Ginsburg just described: job training programs, supportive services, prevention services, respite care, a housing first strategy to get these folks off the street, and they have showed over and over again that it results in better outcomes. There was an evaluation that was done in this region, okay, randomized evaluation, which is the most rigorous evaluation there is, and it showed that folks that get these kind of services are 40% less likely to end up in jails. They're 40% less likely to end up in emergency rooms. They're significantly more likely to get preventative health care, and they're significantly less likely to end up in rehab centers, right? Because it helps them deal with their substance abuse issues. Notwithstanding some of the comments we heard tonight, I have heard from literally hundreds of constituents in Ward 3 who, like me, are very concerned about the fact, as Mr. Parker has flagged in his memo, that the unhoused population has increased by 73% in Jeffco just in the last year, and most of that is unsheltered. Folks are worried about that. Businesses are worried about that, right? Because folks don't want folks sleeping outside their business. I get it. HOAs are worried about it. They don't want folks sleeping outside their home. And this, as we've just heard from my co-counselors, is an opportunity to do something about that.
Yeah, but you're bringing
This is an opportunity to get out in front of that challenge and prevent homelessness in our community for folks that we've just heard Mr. Ginsburg say are 95% people from Jeffco. And respectfully, I just reject a politics that says because we're so worried about this larger challenge that this body doesn't control, and the fact that 9 people out of 250 were immigrants that access this navigation center that is already here in our community, that we should just shut all this down and send this money back to the state. That doesn't make any sense to me. I hear you. It's not that we're not listening. It's that we are listening. It's that folks have been telling us over and over again that homelessness is one of the most important crises in our community. And we have a chance to do something about that. So, gosh, I respectfully think we should celebrate that. This is good news. There's a lot of things in government that aren't good news, but this is good news. Our awesome staff went out and got us $9.5 million in a competitive process, and now we get to use that to prevent homelessness. My friends, how is that not good news? So I will be an enthusiastic yes vote, and I would respectfully suggest all of us could use a little bit less anger and a little bit more looking at what actually works to address problems, a little bit more solution-oriented, whatever side of the political aisle we're on. Thank you very much.